Alrighty, well, I'm gonna get started here, and it has been a long time since I've done any streaming. Oh, and we have way too many things playing sound. What is playing sound? There we go. Don't need any feedback there. So I'm trying to get a few things figured out here. So, like I said, it's been a long time since I've done any streaming. It's also using a little bit of some new services here, so pardon me as I fumble a little bit. We'll definitely get going here. I'm using a restreamer, so streaming on a couple different platforms at the moment, and trying to get the chat and such things worked out. So yeah, that's where we're at. So, let's go ahead and get started here a little bit. So, I haven't shared a lot about this game. This is effectively kind of a third game, and I feeling really good about this one. I'm feeling really good in terms of the scope, the progress, kind of the interest. This is being driven by a game that I used to play as a kid. A desire to recreate that game a little bit in a more modern sense. And right now what I'm working on is a lot of interface with the UI. There's a lot of UI going on here, you can see here, and all the different windows that are set up right now. It's all very, very rough, just trying to get it functional, trying to get it playable before worrying about making it pretty. Pretty will come later, hopefully. And so what I'm working on right now, I push play here. So what's happening right now, when I push play, obviously Unity's got to compile and do all that, so it's a little slow. And it's generating right now a universe that is interconnected. It's interconnected solar systems, if you will. And this right here, I haven't dealt with this yet. This is like the player ship. For right now, it travels along and just kind of gets in the way at the moment. We'll turn that off for the time being. And so what we've got here is, again, it's just procedurally generated. You can see it's very rough. You got a little star of some sort. You got a planet. I only have one model of a planet. I've done no work on art so far. And got a port out here, trading port. You got an asteroid belt. You got a sun. And so what I'm working on now is, if you click on the planet, you can go into the trade. You can see like this is an unpopulated planet. You got a kind of an, eventually there'll be maybe planet names, types of the planets, and then population. And again, it's a little roughed out right now. Back out of there. If I go over here to get my mic out of the way, it's I keep hitting it with my hand. So let's see here. Oh, I see what's happening. Okay, turn our player ship back on. We'll warp to the next thing. So every time I change something, we get a little bit different universe. I'm not entirely sure where everything is these days. And I mean that in the sense of if I change some form of the universe creation, because it's all based on a random seed, so it is reproducible. It's just not changes. So here we go. We got our population. And you can see there's a little glitch here. I'm not entirely sure what's going on there that causes the planet to kind of wobble a little bit more than I'd like. So you can see this planet here has got a population base. It's got a population of 710. And he's got these aluminum mines. It's pretty uncreative right now as to what a planet might have. You can see this is actually producing aluminum as we go. And again, everything's just placeholder here. One of the bugs right now is that it's actually going to create a new icon, take up a new slot when it's active. When it's inactive, it'll work correctly. So what I'm looking at here, what I'm wanting to do is I have this colonist over here. Also, obviously need to fix that so the tooltip actually shows up in the correct spot. I want to bring these colonists and drop them off on a planet and have it adjust the population. So it's going to take a little bit of work. On a lot of levels, I need to be able to... let's see, actually that is... Okay, that's good. So here you can see these are the resources in demand. We've got food, clothing, and obviously colonists are in demand. Clothing happens to be the kind of universal bathroom sign, and there's some food. And you can see as that's happening, this isn't getting updated. So there's lots of little bugs, and I guess not bugs, they're little things that aren't implemented yet. But I need this to, I need to work on these things, get them dialed in a little bit more. Right now you can't build an industry, it's a button doesn't do anything. Something else button doesn't do anything, the leave planet doesn't do anything. So it's pretty rough to say the least. Right, I got the ship thing that pulls out, doesn't really do anything. And yeah, it's even I got some scaling issues with my UI here. It's got some problems, it's pretty rough, but the goal is just to, get it playable, and then we'll work on the finer bits. So what I want to work on is, hey, when these colonists gets dropped off, what are we going to do with it? How do we add that to our population? So I've kind of got these databases over here. Like here's my industry database. This is my population. It's treated very much like an industry. It has inputs. See, I can also look at, here's my aluminum mine. Can choose what it actually produces. So actually, now that I'm thinking of that, that actually could be interesting. One of the things that I liked about, so this game is roughly based on game Trade Wars. Trade Wars 2002. I probably played in the early 90s. You could colonize a planet, and you could, or you could even create a planet from an asteroid belt. And we'll implement that eventually, but your planet would have no population, and then you would bring colonists to it. You drop them off, and they would start to produce resources for you that you could sell. Which I kind of enjoyed. So it was an interesting mechanic. So that's kind of what we're looking to mimic here. And so what I need to do is think about here how that is getting done. And there's a couple things I wanted to do first. So if we go back and push play, I want the colonists to show up. So if we look at this planet here. So this has got a population. These things are all in demand. This is not super responsive right now, UI, but okay. And so this has got a population of just 6. This is all still in. Okay. As you can see, there's lots of little bugs here. So one of the things I want here, right, this population is 0 and nothing's in demand, which makes sense, right? If there's no population there, then there's not going to be, they're not going to demand food if it's just a bunch of rocks, but I might have it in demand of colonists. I think I still like that idea of having our colonists in here, but I can't, oh, there you go. So it'll drop it in there. I can drop my colonists off, but I want that to show up as in demand. So that's what I'm working on immediately. Okay, so here, what I've got to figure out is this function here. So this creates UI to show items demanded by the population. Right now, the population is just going to demand clothing and food. Really simple. As we get more sophisticated, those demands could change. So what we've got here right now, we need, if the population is 0, then we need to demand these colonists. So we kind of need to do these steps here, except we need to actually get that item from our industry manager. So let's go take a look here. Let's go over here. Here's our industry database. Scriptable object. Let's look at, I want to look at how I've done this in other ones. I want to look at my item database. I just want to make sure that I'm being consistent with how I am doing this. So here's the scriptable object for my item database. Even being used. Got it. Okay. I was just wondering if I'd made them static. It doesn't look like I had, so. Here. Let's bring this in. Okay, so what I want to do, I need some way to look up this entry that is the colonists. And the problem, what I don't like about the way I've done this, is we go item database. So we've got our colonist here. And I mean, I guess I can leave it for the name. I could just give it another category. Actually, that would be a really good idea. Let's do that. So actually, I don't want to be in my industry database. I want to be in my item database. Let's go to item data. We're going to go to, yep, we want to go to bouncing around here, but here's my different categories of items. I'm going to call this population. So this just allows me to sort a little bit better. Then I can go to my item data and I can, once that's compiled, I can change the colonists so they're no longer in the food category. They're going to be in the population category. So what we can do then is come to our item database, and I'm going to have a public function is going to return item data, get colonist item. So what we're going to do then is, unfortunately, I think we're going to have to cycle through this entire list, this item data, which is not a big deal right now, but will get a lot bigger as the game develops. So we're going to say if category equals category type population, and we're going to return the item. And if that doesn't happen, we're going to return null. So there we can get our colonist item. I really think we're only going to have the one type of colonist. So this needs to be updated. More than one type of population added. Okay, so back here, what we want to do, we need to get that item database, which we probably do not have access to. But database manager, I do have one singleton here. It's my item data or database manager. I'm gonna go to item database. We can get colonist item. So we can go like that. It's a little ugly. But you know, item data. Okay, so we're gonna do something like that. Colonist equals that. Okay, so next thing we need to do is basically call these 3 lines. Like so. The problem is now is that our item is not correct thing. So let's go here to our set resource. So I think we can, yeah, we can just do an, what's the word I'm looking for? Basically just shorten these things up. We'll have a, see, what is this amount? Can't really do an infinity symbol here, but do something like, we'll just do something like that for now. Okay, so let's go back here. Okay, so now we've got that. And we're going to drop the colonist in there. Okay, so if this is working right, which it's entirely possible that it's not, when I go to an unpopulated planet, so let's go back to our player ship. This script here that I'm altering here controls which sector the player ship is in, so I'm just going to set it back to 10. That way I don't have to warp around. This should be an unpopulated planet. And it is, but we still do not have... Oh. Oh. I know what that's coming from. That's not what I want. Okay. You look here, the console just kind of exploded in comments. So this is actually, I think I have 1 or 2 NPCs flying around doing trades with the ports. It needs to be adjusted. It's a little bit of an older paradigm, older game design mechanic. That's what's going on there if you happen to see that. Okay, so let's figure out why. Let's just make sure we're getting here. I have not, it's been a couple of weeks since I worked on this. I was out of town, and I am admittedly, I've forgotten a little bit of how some of this works. So let's, okay, so we're not getting there. So it's not the code that's broken. We're just simply not getting here. Okay, right. Yeah, I'll leave that for now. Okay, so we go into our trade. We're still not getting there. Okay, so let's go to a sector. Got some automatic navigation going on. I need to figure out how to disable. Okay. Setting up population demands. Okay, so now, so we got there. So there's our... I'm gonna mine. It's frustrating to me that Unity has this blurry effect going on. Like, you have to make your UI scale it up, or you have to make it text really big and then scale it down. I don't know, it's a little confusing to me. I want to look at something here. Output. All right. So why aren't we getting there with zero population? We weren't getting it. Let's just make sure we weren't getting it now, because there's no errors going on there. So why? So let's... Oops. Something like that. So we should, I mean, we should be getting in here. So maybe we're just not even getting here. That's a distinct possibility. Like I said, it's been a long time since I have... it's been a long time since I've worked on these scripts, and so it's a little rusty. Okay, so right there. Okay, so we're getting there, and we're setting up population demands. Okay, so we are... Maybe I just missed that before. So we are getting to population demands. Let's update that. So we'll just get that so it matches this, and this will actually match. So why aren't we? I found that if I just keep debugging, I eventually figure out why I'm not getting where I want to be. Okay. Give this a chance to...
The great big celebration playlist on Spotify. Perfect. Thanks, Google. Because for the first time ever, you can listen to Spotify free on Google.
Alright, there we go. Let's push play, see what happens here.
Instantly, using just your voice. Kick it up while you cook, get lit while you get fit, roll over in bed to Beethoven.
Okay, population is 0.
Hit the banner to get started with Google Home, now available for everyone on Spotify.
What?
What do you think of this one? Skip. Okay, this?
Okay, so we're definitely getting in here.
Next. Yeah.
Alright, well, let's check and see here.
Hey. Oh, come on. Dude, just pick a song.
With Spotify Premium, you can skip any song, anytime. Even
See.
just don't let it go to your head.
Let's just go Colonists. Let's see if we're actually getting... let's get the item name. Probably already a string, but let's do that. Okay. See if that shows up. Oh, why? Okay, there's no error there. So there shouldn't be an error there. All right. So we're getting our colonists. Okay, so it's... All right, so we just keep working our way down through the code, figuring out what the hell, why isn't it working? Oh, I am just a dumbass. We need to turn them off, and then we can turn them back on. There we go. Let's try that. So we were making the UI piece, and then I'm pretty sure I just turned it off in the code. All right, there we go. We're showing up. So that's good. Okay, let's go check. Let's go over to a planet that's already got 3. Let's go to 3 here. That's, or maybe we'll just stay in 5. Does this have... Okay, I wanted to make sure that the colonist didn't show up twice. Here's our different aluminum mines. We'll have to make it so that you don't have multiple, like 3 aluminum mines and nothing else. And maybe that's okay, but it seems a little silly. And probably should depend a little bit on our population size. Okay, so clothing we can drop off. Okay, it shows up there. So a couple things we need to have happen here is when we drop things off, this needs to get updated so we can see how much is currently on the planet. Okay, so that'll work. I like it, I like it, I like it. Okay, and there you can see our food and clothing's dropping as it's getting consumed. Okay, so I need some way to know when the colonist is dropped off here. So that is something we definitely need to do. We'll worry about the updating of the... we'll worry about the updating of the UI after that. I think that'll be... That's relatively easy. Probably just use an event and call it. Okay, so... I almost wonder if we could do this through the item itself. The item doesn't have any connection to the item data. I believe it does. Oh yeah, it does. There's our item data. So... we got our drag end. So where is... Let's look at... on end drag. Okay, so we've already got this event getting called, so that's awesome. And we're sending the item, which has the item data. So let's think about where this needs to get known. So we have an inventory window. Let's load up the UI here so make sure I'm looking at the right things. Okay, so we've got our UI here. And I'm very cleverly named panel here. We've got planet trade, trading info, sync. This is our sync window. the idea is you got sources and sinks of resources. So here's our inventory window. So this is the thing that knows what's going on. It's got its industry here. It's got the population. It knows what's going on. It's got connections to the inventory. Okay, so it is definitely our inventory window script that needs to subscribe to this. So let's go to inventory window. Let's get rid of a few things that we don't really need at the moment. Leave that on. Okay, maybe we'll need some more of this than I thought. One of the things I've done here is I've kind of rolled my own inventory script, and that's both been good and bad. I tried modifying something on the asset store that was prettier. It worked out of the box nice. But trying to add custom features to it was a pain in the ass. So, oh, and we are already subscribed. This is perfect. Okay. So let's check here. If we got item data, category equals category type population. So what we can do here is, this doesn't really need to be, that was some old debugging. So basically we can look at here is, we can run some code here. If this item type is population, let's make sure that works first. Okay, draw population. Cool. Let's just see if that works. It's pretty fun as I build up the tools and the code here. You can things start to get easier. It's just kind of fun. And when they're not easy, or when it's too clunky, it's the time to redesign. So there we go. We dropped population. So there's our code. We know we've dropped some population. Wow, it fires a lot. That's interesting. I wonder why it's firing so many times. Huh. It's interesting. Why is that firing so many times? Huh. Why is that firing so many times? Okay, so let's... That was 3. That's 6. Now it's doing it 3 times? It was doing it 4 before. Why are we getting this called 3 times? That's going to be a problem because it's going to run my code 3 times. Let's go. Let me pull a window over. Let's see if we can figure this one out. Unity 3D on and drag called multiple times. Well, let's see if there's anything useful here. On drag begin. What else do we... Can we call this from somewhere else? Huh. I don't really want to put in some goofy, like, wait timer here. It's really helpful. It's very strange. Why is that getting called so many times?
But I'm pretty sure that was hashtag face melting soft rock, Adam.
Skip the soft part. It's Guitarmageddon out here in Portland.
You can slap me in my face. Bring me on back from outer space. I've been floating above the ground without any gravity around. Let's just dance right here
Hmm.
tonight. I should kick you in your ass for smacking my drink with some West Coast sass. I did not realize that I drank that pill, but in 30 or 45 minutes I will just wanna dance right here all night. When we're all together, we don't need a thing.
Well, that's not very nice. Huh. Well, let's think about how if maybe we can get around that one. So what we want to do is, so we got this inventory window. We need to then look at, leave that in there. If inventory type equals, let's see, we should have, if it is a sync, maybe that's not where we, maybe this is not where we want to do it. Because we need, to know that the inventory can accept this. Well, I mean, I guess we can still do that here, right? We can still have this and inventory can accept item. So we're going to take in, okay, so basically if it's a sync and we can accept this item, then we can do something with it. Okay, so that works. Not sure this is what we want. Let's think about this one. We got all these different pieces that are working together. We need to really think. I really need to think about how this is going to work. So maybe it's actually population based that should be looking at it. So what really needs to happen is this population-based script needs to say, hey, we just dropped colonists. Colonists just got dropped on us. Let's up the population. Okay, well let's leave that there. Let's look at, maybe this is already doing it at some level. Okay, let's look at our item database. Okay, so we're already kind of consuming these colonists. So I don't think, let's go to sector 3. Actually, 5's got, okay. So if I do something like this, boop, add that guy in there, come back, I can see my 5 there. And then give this a turn so this will produce. Okay, let's see if it'll work this way. So we should be consuming.
Celebrating 5 decades of the Prince of Darkness, Ozzy Osbourne. No More Tours 2 with special guest.
Okay, so now, okay, so I definitely got a bug in my code because I needed all those things to consume.
City card members get access.
And now it is.
Get tickets now at altitudetickets.com. Witness a living legend live. There's more at ozzy.com.
This is not a drink. This is a midday escape. Caramel, coffee.
Okay, so
Above, below. Caramel drizzle. Iced cold. Magically making my afternoon. New ultra caramel frappuccino blend.
okay, so we consumed all of our colonists. That's great. Okay,
Her face. Cool. Your phone doesn't.
I guess I just need to think about how I actually want this to work then. So if we drop off the colonists,
With E-Trade, it's easy to build a portfolio that suits your needs. And then maybe you can get a phone that unlocks with your face. Cool. Don't get mad at your
I also potentially want to be able to take colonists off of a planet. So what's the best way to do that? Do I leave the colonists in the inventory?
Spotify. They live it. Introducing Spotify Ad Studio. It's our simple new self-serve platform to create and manage audio ads. Spotify Ad Studio.
Let's think about that. So how do I get, and so maybe this could either simplify and or complicate things, because if I want to be able to pull population off of a planet and take it to another planet, which seems like a reasonable thing to do. If you're going to drop off colonists, you got to get them from somewhere. But I don't also want them cluttering up I also don't want them cluttering up my UI too much. I was really thinking this was just going to be a nice, simple, easy. But I need to think of the mechanics. Here's if that will consume. I don't think it will. So we'll let our turn go by, come back in. We haven't consumed because our population's 0. Okay, so how do I do this? How do I do this? How do I... I mean, it could be, I mean, it's a little... looking for a nice, elegant solution to this, because it could be like this button down here could be like, create, you know, colonists. I'm going to take a little break here for a minute, let this one percolate a little bit, get a snack, move around. Back in a bit. Okay. Well, took a little break. Still haven't figured this one out. Sorry, here I'm monitoring chat. I'm not doing a very good job. Haven't quite figured out how to get the chat to all come together. If I missed your chat message, I'm sorry about that. Doing my best to monitor it here. Got a little disappointed with how it's all playing. It's like YouTube and Mixer are playing nicely in terms of the chat, but Twitch is maybe not a huge surprise, not playing very nice. All right, so again, issue here is we've got to drop this population off, and potentially we want to pull it back off. You know, and I don't want to clutter this up too much. I mean, one simple solution would be to just leave them in there as inventory, so to speak, which is nice and easy. I don't really want to write all this special code just for a colonist. I don't want to have this special case. I think that's a little dangerous to do all kinds of special cases. So what's the way to do that? I mean, you could have... I could have a little button here of some sort, like create colonists. I could do something like when you drag this off, and actually even drag off of here because of the way it's working. Oh, that's interesting. There is a... let's see. Let's add a little bit in here. Item data category equals category type population. Okay, so then we'll be able to drag population off. Basically, I got some filters here, so you can't show up and steal stuff from the population. I think that makes sense. Hey, Cool Gamer Gaming 303. Thanks for joining. I appreciate the compliment. I feel like I'm struggling here a little bit, kind of fumbling over myself. I was thinking I had this all kind of planned out, and I don't. Oh, you're still not going to let me pick that up, are you? Okay. Let's get rid of that. And what we're gonna do is put it up here in a separate line here. We're gonna return true. Okay, let's see if that fixes that little small error. Yeah. So anybody got an idea how we can do this nice and cleanly? And drop my colonists off. Why are we still getting an object null reference? What? What are you talking about? Yeah, okay, right, no errors. And then if I pull this back, doing check. Hey Alpha, how are you doing? See you over there on Twitch. Trying a little multi-streaming here, and chat's not working very well. Okay, so why is this? Okay, why are we throwing this error, and where is it coming from? Okay, let's look a little bit closer at our error here. So inventory window. This is coming out of inventory window 304, 324. This is coming from inventory window 305. Can if inventory can accept item. Very strange. Yeah, if I'm doing well. Finally got some time here to do some streaming, some development, so I thought I'd try to get back in the habit. I'm hoping. School year's just about to start up. Got about 2-3 weeks. Hoping to be able to carve out a regular, at least once a week, regular streaming time again. Working on this. So why are you doing this to me? Inventory window 305. Wasn't I about to change my data? Yeah. As a school teacher, we sign year-long contracts, so I'm on contract through June. It's possible I could change after that. But I got to make it through the school year first. None of this 2 weeks notice kind of thing here. I mean, I guess I could just walk out and quit, but that wouldn't be a good thing to do at so many levels. But yeah, we did a little bit of search in the summer, looking for a new place to move, a little more affordable than the current place. So things are moving. Things are moving. We haven't made a final decision yet, but we'll probably make that decision here in the next 2 or 3 months. I have to sign up for my next contract again in January, and it'd be nice to be able to tell the school if I was coming back or not. But yeah. So why? Oh, this is weird. So why? Okay, so our error is coming through. Okay, we got all these. Can't accept item. Where is this? Inventory base 664. Oh, why? Oh, I see what's going on. We are creating a new one. Thanks, Alpha. Found me on YouTube as well. Yeah. YouTube's chat's playing a lot nicer, but Twitch's chat is totally isolated. Not sure what's going on there.
Hey, what's up? This is Lau. I keep things fresh by constantly going in with no expectations.
Okay, so why are we getting this error?
Are ones that I
It's coming from 155. That's
in the slightest.
okay.
It is up to
So we're coming from 155. We're creating this new inventory item. So it sure looks to me like
and that's where the stuff that
this item is null for some reason.
break the norm.
So let's see if item's null. See if this triggers anything.
Okay, Google, can you play the Soothing Ad Music playlist on Spotify?
It's null.
Perfect. Thanks, Google. Spotify on Google
okay.
Home is awesome.
So let's see if this is actually happening. That seems to be the only way this could be.
You say Google Home plays. For the first time ever, it's free for everyone. Okay, Google, play the Party Popper playlist on Spotify.
Okay, so drop this off. That's great. Item is null. Yeah, seriously, how is this item? Curious. Ah. Well, our colonists are reproducing. Don't have the slightest clue why. Why? Okay. Curious. Okay, so what happens if I drop off? That's not supposed to happen. Okay. What the? Very curious. Okay. Okay, let's see. So, why are these all... So something's... What the... Let's look here at our... Okay, so the question still remains: what do we do with these colonists? How do we do this UI wise? That's what I'm more concerned about here. How do I do this UI wise? How do I do this UI so that you can drop off people and pick them up? Hey, thanks, Alpha. It is looking kind of smooth. Not sure how much you saw here. I've shrunk my universe down here. I think I'm just down at 20 solar systems. Next thing I got to deal with here visually is this crappy spaceship here. Some of the visualizations are going to take a little bit of time to get these to work. But yeah, this is kind of, you know, it's working. These buttons don't do anything. That one does. Here's a port you can trade over here. Few sound effects going in there. You can change the stack size, how much you want to alter. You can take 1, 10, or the full stack size. UI still needs some work, but it is slowly working. Okay, why? What? Okay, so what is... And so I've built in pieces for the UI that aren't quite functional yet, but okay, right. So these should not be droppable because they're not on our demand list. These should be droppable. Okay. So I've changed one thing that's gotten rid of my error. Huh. Not entirely sure. So the intention here is that this population base, so that's what this is here. There's not a whole lot else going on this planet. That it's just a resource sink. It just takes things in, and it's going to consume things. It's going to buy things from you. And so maybe, maybe it just needs to, right? So like, if I go over here to what sector am I? I think I want to go over to sector 3. So yeah, I keep thinking it's sector 3. I think it's actually sector 5. Yeah. So here you can see, like, if I drop off my colonists. Oh, it's interesting. We're got some other bug going on here. I played around with a inventory system off of off the asset store, and I didn't regret doing that, but sorry, I'm playing around with some windows here so I can see chats from everybody. That really didn't work at all. And I was so frustrated by it, trying to modify it, that I decided just to roll my own inventory system. And I don't regret doing that either. It was actually relatively easy until you get to all these little edge cases, and the edge cases are just enough to make me pull my hair out. And that's what's going on here, is we got some weird edge case going on. I'm curious here. See, we still got these things popping up here. They're not getting cleared out of the inventory window. Yeah, they're still, you can see they're still hanging out here, which is weird. I don't know. Okay. So if I drop this guy off here, I drop little guy off here, he's all good. Let's go to the neighboring sector. And okay, he's not there. So that seems to be working well. But if I go to, if I say I go in here, okay, maybe that just doesn't matter. So we're dropping these things off. I don't want to treat, I'm not sure I want to treat planets just as this like bank where you can just drop stuff off and pick it up and take it away. I think I want to really make it more of a dump. Like, you're gonna, dump's the wrong word, the sink. It's gonna be a resource sink. It's where all the resources are gonna go and be consumed. It's where you're gonna pay for it, and it's gonna develop a population. Planet gets more sophisticated. So, and maybe that's maybe that's just okay. We can just do it that way. And then we can deal with getting colonists off the planet later. So here's what I want to do. So this is the script here, this planet trade UI. This is the script that is controlling that planet trade. And in here, I want to react whenever an item is dropped onto this inventory. So, how do I do that? This thing needs to react when, let's see, let's check and see if this is, okay, right, so we inherit from the window base UI, that's great. Okay. So I've got an event that gets called when the item gets dropped. That had its own little problems. So what if we do... Okay, this is the inventory. Wait, no, I want to go to my inventory base script. So this is the base script. I'm just trying to think of the smooth, clean way to make this work. So I apologize if I'm fumbling a little bit, but it does take a little bit to figure out with this many scripts, what is the slick way to do this. So I've got this item added. Hey, there you go. L's New World. So you got a question. I imported a Blender model into Unity, but the model now is transparent partly, and it changes if I rotate the perspective. It looks terrible, and I'm desperate. Yeah, I'm willing to bet that's a normals issue. My guess is that your normals are not all pointing outwards. Does that help? Do you know how to fix that? I can show you how to fix that, I think. But you want to check your normals. Your normals are going to be facing wrong directions, which is why when you rotate it, you can see some of the faces and not other faces. Let me know if you need a little more info. Happy to help you. Happy to pull up Blender here and show you. Okay, so... Okay, great. Yeah, give that a try. You can usually Blender can recalculate your Blender or your normals. It can point them outward or inward. That should do it. Okay, so what we basically need is we have these 3 scripts: inventory base, or really 4 scripts. We got the item, inventory base, inventory window, planet UI. These are all interacting, and they need to kind of talk to each other. And it's eventually going to have to do something with the population of base here. So when an item gets added, so we have events here when items get added. Let's make sure this is actually getting called. Yeah. Okay, so it's actually getting added. Let's make sure. Use for non-drag and drop. Use for drag and drop. Okay. Just want to make sure that's actually getting called. Okay. So, oh, my brain hurts. Okay, so we need... I don't know why this makes my... I mean, I guess maybe it's just hard, or maybe I'm dumb. I don't know. But I need this script here to respond when an item is dropped. And it needs to respond when it's dropped on... needs to respond when it is dropped on the inventory that corresponds to it. So this is the event that gets called when we stop dragging an item. That was firing too many times, so that may not be what I want to use. This here, item added. We also have item. Is this actually getting used? Yeah. Item added. So this is getting called when we drag an item on, which is what we're interested in at this point. That's going to get called. Okay, so let's look at our arguments here. This might actually help. So we got an inventory. Okay, actually that'll work great right there. So because we can get our inventory, so this event is going to send the inventory, the item, and the number, and which will allow our Planet Trade UI script to compare is the inventory one that we're concerned about, and we can check the item. Perfect. Okay, so what we're going to do is come in here and add an event. So we're going to do inventory base, item added, and we're going to we're just going to create, we're going to do that. It's going to give us a little error because that
What do you think of this one?
function doesn't exist. I don't really like the name of that, but maybe we'll rename it. So we'll come down here, private void item added, and we're going to take in inventory base, inventory. We're going to take in item, and we're going to take in int the number.
Don't let it go to your head.
I believe that's what we're taking in. I may have that wrong. Inventory. Okay, sorry, inventory item.
Playlist on
So I have
perfect.
one of my complaints about the
Awesome.
paid inventory asset was that the naming drove me nuts. There was items and this and that, all the similar naming conventions. It just drove me freaking nuts. And sure enough, when I rolled my own inventory, I now have inventory item, I have item data. It's all nuts. So anyways, inventory item, that class, that's how the script stores the information for the item. The actual item class is a UI script. I'm not saying that's a clever way or the best way to do it. So let's check here. If inventory equals 2 equals sync sync inventory window inventory. Okay, so basically we're going to check and say if this item got dropped onto the inventory that is the sync inventory. Hey, L's New World, I'm glad that worked. Yeah, that's, those normals are a bugger. Glad it worked for you. And very happy to help. So if we dropped it onto this, so basically we're saying, hey, an item got dropped in here, and then we'll do a switch, and we're gonna do item data category. We can pop out all those different categories. We can add this later. And now we can do things. Let's just check and see if this is working. So drop pop. Let's see if we can do some food here, because we have that as well. Don't ask me why there's food, seed, and ore. I don't know. I don't know why those are my types of categories. Food. Okay. With any luck, this will now get called when we drop. Okay. Okay. Clear that out. If I drop my colonists on here, drop population, drop. Okay. I have a few too many comments going on. Let's see if the food works. Food. Okay, so we are calling that event now. Perfect. Okay, let's we do not need this. What's interesting right there is this. So this message here, this dropped population here, is getting called by the on drag end event. This is getting called by my own custom event, and you can see that the on drag event is getting called 4 times. Mine's only getting called once. I'm not sure why it's getting called 4 times. I don't really want to spend the time working around it. It's interesting here. Sorry, Alpha, that's pretty funny with the naming. Yes, bad naming. Not the most brilliant thing. Sorry, I was just looking at the stream there, and Twitch chat is showing up. A little bit of a mess. Sure why I can't get all my chats to show up in one nice window so I could actually respond to them. I need to figure that one out. Okay, so we now have the ability to, in our planet trade, we now have the ability to detect when objects are dropped onto our planets, which is great. Or at least it's getting dropped onto the sink, so that's fine. We can do one thing there. So what we want to do when the population gets dropped, this is the one I want to deal with first. What we want to do, we're going to go to populate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to planets. I got my planet. That's whatever planet's loaded. We're going to go to population base, and we're going to add, I'm going to do an add population. And what we're going to do is send in this item like that. Okay, generate that method over here. Yep. Okay, so now we've got this function over here. I don't really care if it's internal, we're gonna make it private. Alpha, you're hilarious. Public static, yes. But of course. I mean, the more underscores you can throw in, the better, right? I have adopted this little slightly goofy convention that I do an underscore UI for all my UI scripts. It helps keep me a little sane. Okay, anyways. So here we go, we've got our population. We can now add population to our planet when we drop these items on. So... multiple, yes. Yes, Alpha. Yes. Eight underscores. It's better. Well, you know, it's like spacing versus tabbing, right? So let's look at and let's call it new. We'll call it new pop is going to equal item count. Okay, that's pretty simple. New population. Okay, so and then what we're going to do. I had a student try to derail my class by asking me whether I liked spacing or tabbing. I just gave him a dirty look and moved on. Okay, so let's see here. What we want to do is basically we're going to take our population, and I'm very clever here. Talk about good naming convention. I have population and underscore population. One is an integer, one is a float. It does actually make sense and is a necessity. Yeah, don't ask too many questions. Okay, population. So we're going to add to that. We're going to add to this. I don't really need to create a new integer. Let's just do it this way. Let's save a little bit of garbage collection and not do that. So... okay, so that's going to happen. Okay, let's just test that. One step at a time. We got a couple other pieces. We got to make the UI update itself, and then we got to delete the inventory. Oh, balls, got an error. What did I do? What do you mean? Oh, psst. Picky computers. What's that, Alpha? You're saying you can't stop laughing. Do I do the same as casting strings to int? No, I haven't done that. Usually when I'm casting strings to int, well, I actually usually go the other way. I don't cast a string to int very often. I usually use an underscore for like a to indicate a private versus a public variable. If I have two variables that are the same name, if I want to have a public getter and setter. Okay, let's see if this works. I don't even remember what's supposed to happen. Okay, so we just added that. Now if I come back, oh balls. All right, why didn't that work? Well, here's the first day on streaming on YouTube. Actually have more people watching on YouTube than Twitch. Thank you much all for joining, by the way. Do appreciate it. You guys got questions? Well, you know what to do with them. Throw them in chat. Let's see what happens. Okay, why didn't this work? Let's see. I bet it did. I'm just not adding poo. Okay, let's see. Yeah, if you got questions, throw them in chat. They can be about just about anything. It could be about the game. It could be what I'm doing specifically. I had a question earlier. Blender question. Happy to answer those as well. Okay, adding population 5. Okay, so it is working. It is just the rest of the... garbage isn't connected yet. Let's figure this out. Okay, so here we've got our planet. And... our population didn't actually go up. Let's just see if I fudge it. Should go up to 15. Huh. Okay, so what's going on here? Okay. Okay, so let's see if that's... Okay, let's... The inspector in Unity is not known to update super fast, but let's see if maybe I can catch... Okay, so what I'm looking for is down here in the inspector, I got my population right here. Yeah, okay, so it's adding, but we're going back down to 0. So... Okay, so that's all working. Get rid of this statement. Okay, so we got our population growth. So why? So I'm guessing, okay, so we got our population growth statement here. Happiness we haven't dealt with at all yet. That's just kind of mechanical. Basically, happiness is going to be it's going to be calculated based on how you're meeting the needs of the colonists. And then your growth rate will depend on their happiness. You know, basically got pretty significant growth, less growth, and then you get some shrinkage. Yeah. Oh, I wonder if... No. Just trying to figure out what... Let's take a closer look at our star system. The other thing that I've done here Growth rate is 0. Happiness is 0. Well, that could be my issue. Nope. The other thing that I've done when I first was prototyping this, every star system would be created as a separate game object, and I didn't like that idea. Didn't seem like a very good idea. You'll notice that my star system here is like an empty object, and all the children of it get created as you move to different sectors, and all the planets, all the solars, everything is just all kept in lists as data, not as separate game objects. I'm trying to optimize a little bit. So let's figure out what the hell's going on here. Okay, let's look at our happiness. Calculate happiness. Let's look at first calculate happiness. It should be returning 50. Okay, I'm going to... That's going to go up there. Okay, so we're going to calculate happiness regardless. If we have no population, we're just going to set it to 50. Okay, so... Okay, I see what's going on. So what's happening here is this line right here is resetting the population to this value here. So what we want to do here is, and I wonder if that was what was going to happen. So we just want to do our underscore value. We're going to add this to it. And now, fingers crossed, we should have the ability to add a population. Okay. Yes, the clipping through your own starship is going to change a little bit. Okay. Okay. Balls, it still didn't work. Why is our our happiness... Okay, what the balls? Okay, so our growth rates... why are we... Okay. Population times growth rate minus population. Pop growth.
Times begin with the cool, refreshing taste of Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Twisted Tea tastes like real iced tea because it's brewed with real iced tea. It's the hard iced tea that goes down easy with a twist. Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea.
I don't know why that's working that way.
There's nothing like a weekend getaway in the country. No internet, no work email.
I mean,
no music.
before I assume too much, let's turn that off. I'm almost positive somewhere in there I'm doing some silly math that I'm not catching. And it is
Wherever, whenever. Try Spotify Premium free for
put my population back down to 0.
Tap the banner now to learn more.
Okay. So oh, balls. Really got to fix this playership. It's got to be one of the newer next things I do here. Okay, so If I put a value in for population, okay, I know. I know. I'm just being an idiot here. Okay, so it's definitely is in here. So maybe I think this is gonna do anything. Okay. All right, I was changing the private variable. Of course, I can't see that. Inspector. Duh. Okay, so where in here am I? How am I? My growth rate set to 1. It's always, it's not like it's 0. So here, my population times the growth rate minus population gives me my population growth. We're then just rounding it. Okay, okay. I'm just gonna keep going with the method of commenting out until we figure out the offending line here. Okay, so if we drop this in here like that, we look at our planet and the inspector. Okay, my population is 5 now. I don't know why my happiness is at 0. It should, that makes sense to me. Oh, I wonder if it's this growth. Could it be the growth stage piece? Okay, let's look at. No, the growth stage really isn't getting used. There you go. So the idea of the growth stage is basically to have kind of big changes in and what the planet demands, what's required of it. Okay, so okay, couple things. Why the calculate the happiness? Oh. Well, I'm doing double stupid stuff here. So the calculate happiness should just return. Oh, stupid. Okay. Maybe we'll get this figured out here in the next little bit. See if we can get this figured out in the next little bit here. Maybe we'll do a little modeling. Okay, so planet. Going down to our inspector. Okay, so population is 5. Okay, so if I come back to it, okay, population is now 5. That's good. Now we have other demands. That's awesome. Okay, so that's working. That's step one. Our population growth is going to be really small. If we drop in another colonist there, we now apparently have 15. Why the fuck do we have 15? Oh, what is going on? What the balls? Okay, we're gonna worry about that later. I'm hoping that'll disappear a little bit. Okay, so let's see if we can get some actual population growth going on here. Okay, so we now should get like, it should be a population of 500. There we go. I don't know why our population growth is still... If we knock our happiness up here. Oh, I guess I have toggled that off. Okay. So. So let's see if this will... Let's put those lines back in and see what... Okay, that was a nice little glitch there. All right, so now we got some population growth. Our population is going to grow. So if I come back in, we actually population 502, we're growing. Basically, we're going half a person per turn. Okay. Not 100% sure what the issue was there, but we're working. We're now working. Okay. So the next step is we need to figure out how to remove. We gotta go remove this object. So what we really need is down here. So let's just send the count over. Right, we really don't need. Okay, and the other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to change this 100. So, let's see, game constants. So I want my, I have this static class over here. And, this way, okay. So maybe we'll do something like this. I like doing this. I have this static script over here that contains these constants that I can access anywhere. And the idea here is that I can then tune the game in one script here rather than having to dive into all the different scripts and find where these things are. I can just reference, get a static reference and move forward. So I can come back in and change that thing to 5 or 10 or 1,000 or whatever might fit the game. It's a system that works pretty well. I can even do things like UI, right? Like, you know, my menu fade time. This needs to be organized a little bit. You know, I got some combat things here. Right, something like that. Got some UI bits. I'm not gonna get too worked up about it right now, but okay. So now what we need to do is, yeah, we need to take the inventory. We need to remove this item. We're gonna pass that item back, something like that. And of course, you're not gonna take that item. I don't know why I have it done that way. Some of my scripts are a little old. Like, I'm not sure why I'm passing in the number when the number is actually contained in this inventory item. So I got some outdated stuff. Give it a default value. Okay, so we're going to remove that item. So let's see if that works. Okay, so steps are we add the population. We need to remove the item, and then lastly, we need to update the UI. We've got to force an update of the UI. Yeah, Alpha, it just works, right? To have that static script and okay, so there we go. We should come back in, and our population has gone up, and our item has been removed. Awesome. So now what I need to do is force an update of this when this happens. And that actually might be as simple as so this is the function, the method that loads all of our data. So that'll work with the population because it's always the first thing. So we could actually just do that actually. So open planet, and we're just going to pass in the planet data that we already have. Sure, there's a little bit of a loss of efficiency there, but I really got to deal with this player ship thing. Okay, so drop off our colonists. And there we go. Now updates. This did not delete, however. If I go out, it's gone. Okay, so what we needed to do is then we got to sync inventory window. Okay, so we're just going to reopen these windows We already got the stuff. We already got the code to repopulate it. Actually, these. Can come out here. This is going to happen in. So is this actually. That's going to happen regardless of the category, I think.
Someone booking a hotel at full price.
No likey.
And this is the sound of someone booking a hotel on Hotwire.
Me likey.
Why does she likey? Because Hotwire hides hotel names so you can find 4-star hotels
Okay.
at 2-star prices. It's like getting an upgrade. Hotwire hides the name of the hotel but lets you filter by the things that really matter. Like whether there's a pool, free Wi-Fi, or if it's pet friendly. So you can book with...
Okay. So we drop this in. Boop.
What do you think of this one?
Skip.
Okay, this?
What the?
Next.
Drop in some clothing.
Oh, I like that one. Oh, come on. Dude, just pick a song.
With Spotify Premium, you can skip any song, anytime, even on mobile. Just don't let it go to your head.
I wonder if I could change this too. So it would just kind of be a generic drop slot. That'd be kind of an interesting UI. Just drop stuff off. Instead of making it kind of look like this, that might be a nice touch. I might work on that one later. Why? Why is that delayed like that? Let's see here. Okay, so it's all updating. Go out, come back in. Interesting. Oh. Okay. So I think my thought, what I'm thinking here is, you kind of have that generic, like you see on websites where you just like drop it in, and like you can drag and drop an image into it. I wonder if I would do more of a slot like that, than this type here. I know what's going on. I got a double problem now, because now that the object's getting removed from the inventory, it's frankly no longer in the inventory. So that is a problem. That is not what we want to have happen. So I'm going to remove that line. I don't want to remove it from the inventory. Yeah. Is that alpha? Is that the new auto sort function? Yes, that is exactly what it is. Okay, so let's okay, so I've got this inventory. So I got this inventory window here. What I really need is kind of just a generic dumping ground. Hey, drop your stuff here. And let's see if that inventory type. Okay, so we get inventory type of sync. So I may be able to do. Let's look here what we got. Let's look at where we're loading our slots. It's not a prefab here. Where's my get slot? Yeah, item pool get slot. Okay. Okay, so basically this function here goes out and gets a slot out of our item pool here. Okay, so well, let's just make a little sprite here. So what we're gonna do. I don't actually know how to make a dashed line. How do you make a dashed line? Let's find out. Hey, look at that. If you want to use GIMP, you got the step one is to launch GIMP. Go figure. Paths tool. All right, I'm far too lazy. I'll figure this one out later. We're gonna grow this border. That's not what I wanted to do. What am I trying to do here? Let's do it this way. So we're gonna invert our selection. We're gonna come out here, and then invert the selection again, and we're going to grow our border by 3. And then we're gonna flip this, invert our selection again, like that. Okay. All right, drop off. Jeez. Okay. And we're gonna make it a little bit bigger. This is obviously going to be the final artwork for the game. I may have done my colors exactly opposite. I always do that. Actually, let's just delete that layer. Nope. What am I trying to do here? Okay. It's got something like that. I think this all actually needs to be white. Maybe we'll make this a little less, a little more gray like that. Okay, and we're going to export. Going to export this here. We'll export it straight into the project. Sync slot. Okay. Okay, so what we're going to do here, let's first, we're gonna add a panel like this and grab our new texture, sync slot, let's turn it to a UI. Something like that. Panel, sync slot. I don't really care about the ratio. Add our slot script to it. Might want to do our own. Might want to do a little bit of new script there. I'm getting a little tired. So let's maybe get this implemented and we'll call it good. So this is going to be a sync slot. And we're going to drop that into our prefabs. And game managers, item manager, my item pool, my slot prefab. Not sure why it's in there, but it is where we've got it. We're going to do game object, sync slot. On Unity, you can do it. Okay, so now we've got a new slot in there and we can reference it. So what we need to do is our inventory window. Okay, so where is our open window? Open window, okay. So we need to go to get slots. Let's do that. Okay. All right, so how do we do this? Okay, so when we open the window, we want to know if our inventory is of type sync. We're going to do something different. We're just going to have this big droppy thing on it. Okay, so okay. We get slots. Okay, da da da. So this is getting all the slots. Okay, so we get our slots. Da 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 da. That's not really what I want though. All right, get slot. Okay, so this is what we want here. If inventory type equals inventory type sync. Okay, so if we're gonna be a sync, then we're gonna grab and we're gonna do slot new slot equals item. Okay, let's do it the same way actually. Let's go here, go to item pool. Static. That's not what I want. Yeah, that is what I want. Okay, so if we're gonna do this, we're gonna get sync slot. Basically, what we're gonna do is do the same damn thing here. Except we're gonna have another list here. Actually, we don't even need a. Just gonna do a game object sync slot.
It's the two megastars summer mashup. The awesome iPhone on the Rockstar Metro PCS.
So basically, if sync slot does not equal null, then this is going to be sync slot, and we don't want it. We don't want it to be of type slots. Okay, so we're just going to store.
When you're selling online, it's exciting to watch the orders flow in. What's not so exciting? Shipping them out. That's why you need ShipStation, the #1 choice of online sellers.
I think this will work. Okay, we don't need to remove this. We're just going to return it. If it is null, then what we're going to do is sync slot prefab. We're going to instantiate this thing. We're going to get the slot out of it, and we're going to say sync slot equals slot script, like that. Okay, I think that'll actually work because we're not really doing a true pooling solution. Item pool, get sync slots. Okay, there we go. So there we've got, oh, that's not actually what we want to do, sorry. I'll do something like that. And then what we want to do is, chair just decided to adjust itself. There we go. Okay, so we want to take a lot of this. We're not going to add it to our list. Just tidying things up a little bit. Okay, Okay, it's totally not going to work because we got a grid layout going on. But let's see if we can pull up the right prefab. Okay. There it is right there. There is our correct... There's our correct prefab. Our correct sync slot. Okay, so that's sort of working. I'm just going to turn that off for now. What the hell's this button do? Yeah, I don't need that. Okay. Okay, so the other thing we need to do is set slot count go to, okay. Okay, so the other thing we need to do here is we go if inventory type equals inventory type sync, then basically I think this is just kind of this script just adjusts the number of slots. If of type sync, then don't get more slots. It may or may not work. Kind of thinking it's not going to work, but let's try it. Definitely didn't work. Tricky. You know what I'm gonna do? My brain's working at about 40% speed at the moment. And Alpha, I think you might be about the only person out there tuned in. So I'm gonna call it quits for today. I'm not sure when I'll be back, but I'm really hoping to get a regular streaming schedule back up. Do my best to post that and advertise it once that's settled. I'm hoping I can have, you know, hour and a half, 2 hour slots at least once a week to do some streaming. So anyways, thanks for joining. Alpha, that goes double if you're still out there. I'll talk to you guys later and see you next time, whenever that ends up being.